Hello and welcome to another edition of Nation Building. On this program, we examine the political, moral, and social issues in leadership. And on our program today, we have the Grand Bahama Port Authority President, Mr. Ian Rolle. Mr. Rolle, welcome to our program. And after the commercial break, we'll talk more in-depthly with Mr. Rolle to find out exactly what the Port Authority is doing to cause the magic to be brought back to the city of Freeport. Stay tuned.
Who said you can't get great quality products at an affordable price? If you want the best quality food products at the most affordable prices, you must pick up the Jamaica Bahama brand of fine quality products at your favorite food store. Products like Jamaica Bahama Coconut Water, the most healthy and refreshing drink on the market. Jamaica Bahama Fruit Punch, the only fruit punch in the Bahamas made from real fruit. Jamaica Bahama coconut milk, green pigeon peas with coconut milk, condensed milk, kidney beans with coconut milk, corned beef, green pigeon peas, mackerel, and corn. Jamaica Bahama's fine line of products is available at all your favorite food stores and convenience stores nationwide. Telephone 351-8282 in Freeport and 341-4091 in Nassau.
I don't wanna wait.
The Port's vision is based on two words, growth and impact. How do we intend to create this growth that we speak about? We intend to create critical mass in the city of Freeport by focusing on two main areas. One, the cruise and tourism industry, and two, increase the number of permanent residents on the island of Grand Bahama. Last year, we had about 1.4 million cruise passengers coming into the city. The vision for the Grand Bahama Island over the next 5 years is to double that capacity to 2.8 million. I've spoken to a number of CEOs in the various cruise lines, and they have said there was one common thread, that we need to make our cruise arrival experience better. So what we have done over the past year or so, we've been speaking with a number of major cruise lines to build a new cruise port, as well as better the arrival experience at the existing harbor. The CEOs have also said to me, Ian, you need to create more attractions, need more amenities, create more things for the tourists to do, and the locals. And we've done just that. I've engaged the services of a gentleman who actually used to work for Disney, and he created some concepts. And this concept on the screen at the moment, this one is a VIP movie theme park and pool club, where every guest will be treated as a VIP. Another attraction that we build the concept on is an adventure park experience. And the idea is to cater to the more adventurous type of persons. So on this park, we'll have zip lines and water challenge experiences, etc. Another product we intend to introduce to Freeport or Grand Bahama is a very unique product called glamping. And what is glamping? Glamping is simply glamorous camping, where you get the best of both worlds. You get to experience the luxury of home and still enjoy the outdoor experience. The tourism sector is growing on this island of Grand Bahama. And what we intend to do is to incorporate a lot of this growth and allow Bahamians to experience this growth by participating in the growth. So these concepts on the screen, they are cabanas, special cabanas that families can own, and they'll be placed on certain areas of the beach in certain projects for local people now to participate in the ownership of the industry. This is a very unique concept that we also intend to implement here in Grand Bahama, and it's called the bed and boat concept. We have a lot of canals that are very much underutilized. And here you have a floating villa concept with a private dock for a boat, and you have a nice restaurant, etc. I'm currently speaking with somebody to create the same concept right now. Another area of focus for us is to create more boutique resorts. We feel that the smaller resorts will lend well to the environment that we're in. We're not trying to please everyone. We know what we have. We know we have a very tranquil environment, very eco-friendly, and so the intention is to have a number of these boutique resorts on our island. I spoke about increasing the population earlier. Our current population is about 55,000, and the vision is within the next 10 years to grow it by 10,000 residents. I spoke about creating more persons increasing the population, get more people here to Grand Bahama. How do we intend to do that? Well, I'm suggesting here that we tweak the current immigration policies. And here we have, if a foreigner comes and spends $500,000 or more to buy a residence, but I want to also introduce buying a small business, because currently we do not have a ready market for the trading of small businesses. Once a Bahamian builds a company, he or she would more or less have that company until the very end. But what we want to try and achieve here is to create a ready market to trade small businesses. And so if the foreign person comes and buys the company for $500,000 or more, more than likely that entrepreneur, the Bahamian entrepreneur, will reinvest that money and create more activity in the economy. So what we want to do is tweak the immigration policy. There's also a practice or a policy in the United States called the EB-5 visa program. I don't know if you are familiar with it, but the U.S. used this program to attract foreign investment as well. And how it works, the U.S. issues about 10,000 of these permits every year. And those permits are allocated to various countries. China might get 3,000, South America might get 3,000, and other countries would get the balance of the allocation. The foreign person would invest $500,000 or more, create 10 jobs, and for that they get a permanent residency status. So what I want to do in the Bahamas, or in Freeport in particular, but the entire Bahamas could benefit from this, is implement a similar policy whereby somebody invests $500,000 that goes towards the construction of a development. The way it works now, you have to have an asset already existing. So therefore, someone will have to buy a building or an apartment complex or a house before you get the permanent residency. But what I want to do is, once that person commits the $500,000 to a developer, then they should get this special privilege, this residency permit. And not only should they get it, but their dependents should get it, everybody under the age of 21. And I know this will work because right now, as we speak, the Chinese population in particular have exhausted all the quota for last year May. The 3,000 allocated permits for the Chinese nationals, as of last year May, they exhausted the complete 3,000. So there's a huge bottleneck of persons trying to come into an environment like Freeport, like the Bahamas, a stable, safe environment. And we intend to be that bridge for them. Where are some of these persons going to also come from? These are the target markets. Persons are going to come from high tax zones. Qualifying persons also will be those escaping religious victimization. These persons will also come from countries that are in political turmoil, and also persons escaping harsh winter storms. This is how we're going to impact the Grand Bahama community. One of the first things we intended to do, and which we are actually doing now, is to get feedback. Not only feedback from our customers and the citizens, but also feedback from our employees, the staff members. So we've implemented special technology where we're getting feedback from within. Because if persons from within aren't actually our ambassadors, then I think we would have failed. So the first thing we did is to actually work from within the family, to understand what all the issues are within the company, and we're addressing those issues, and we're also moving that out into the wider population. The next way we're going to affect the local community. A number of the small businesses have cried out for access to resources. They need to know more about how to create a successful small business. And so therefore we created an Invest Grand Bahama Small Business Bureau to also deal with that challenge or issue. We intend to have more customer events to show more appreciation to our customers. So we're doing that, and it's going very, very well. We intend to get out more to meet our licensees one-on-one, and also meet collective groups of licensees, because the groups would have the same issues. And what we have done is we've met with them, and we continue to meet with them to solve some of their issues in their industries. How do we intend to also impact the wider community? We intend to implement a surveillance program in the city. We've already started in the downtown area. In fact, it has brought about fruit already for us, and we just recently implemented it. We want to enlighten the population by sponsoring community events and functions like TED Talks. In this picture here, we have a number of dilapidated structures. in the city. And what we want to do is take that dilapidated structure and make it into a masterpiece, a piece of art. So we've engaged the services of a local Bahamian, Sheldon Saint, and he's already started this process. So instead of looking at something negative, it's now creating something very, very positive in the city. Industry is big in Grand Bahama. Grand Bahama is the industrial capital of the Bahamas. And welding is a very sought after field. So what we have done, the Grand Bahama Port Authority, we have partnered with a local welding institution. And therefore, a number of young persons who are currently out of jobs are now getting free welding education as a result of this partnership. We also believe that there are a number of local Bahamians who are very deserving because of what they have contributed to the Bahamas. And the intent is to start in the renaming of certain streets in Freeport after these well-deserving Bahamians. Technology. We believe that the use of technology will make the lives of persons better in Grand Bahama. And this is one of my pet projects. This is an application, a mapping application. And currently, there's nowhere in the Bahamas that has all of the data in Google Maps, for instance, or the Apple Maps program, or any other mapping program. What we have done is we have provided companies like Google and here, we provided them with our data so that they can update their systems, and now locals and tourists alike can navigate the city more efficiently, more effectively. That data will also be used as the base for other applications like delivery services. We currently do not have a delivery service in the Bahamas, but the data that we're going to provide, or we have provided companies like Google, will allow this type of business to occur. This is another application that is very near and dear to me. And this is a citizens reporting app. We want to get citizens more involved in the management of the city. And therefore, we introduce this type of reporting app where persons would use their smartphones and actually take a photo of the various issues in the city, like a missing street sign, a pothole, illegal dumping, etc. Snap a photo of that. The information then goes to a central location in the Port Authority, and the city manager then allocates the job out to the respective person. How do we intend to impact the Bahamas from Grand Bahama? One, we want to use our jurisdiction to distribute products from Freeport to the rest of the Bahamas. In this particular scenario here, this is an example, let's say a car dealership. A lot of the car dealerships have to pay huge upfront fees when they import assets into the Bahamas like cars or parts. So the intention is to store the vehicle or part here in Grand Bahama, and as you need the asset, then ship it out. And at that time, the customer will pay you the duty and the tax associated with moving a product from the Freeport jurisdiction into other parts of the Bahamas. We also believe that Freeport can be a shopping mecca. Now, this photo represents an international trade city that exists in China. The intent is to bring a smaller footprint of the city to Freeport. So instead of persons from North America, South America, and the Caribbean traveling to China 2 or 3 times a year to buy product for their retail outlets, what we intend to do is bring a smaller footprint and place that in Freeport and have persons fly here every month. So we see this as a potential shopping mecca destination. And finally, this picture here represents a means or a method to potentially solve our power issues for the country by using Freeport as a base. The red line represents an undersea cable, power cable, running from Florida into Grand Bahama and then into Nassau. And you can imagine that this line could go from island to island because we're already doing it. Telecommunications companies, they're already doing it. We're running fiber lines already from Florida into Grand Bahama and around the Bahamas. So why not power? Thanks.
You're thinking about starting a business or looking to expand and grow an existing business, the Invest Grand Bahama Small Business Bureau can help. We are your complete business resource center, offering a one-stop shop service to aspiring entrepreneurs and existing business owners. Did you know that most startup businesses fail within the first 3 to 5 years as a result of poor planning, insufficient funding, and lack of basic business management skills and training? The Invest Grand Bahama Small Business Bureau offers a wealth of resources, information, and support to help entrepreneurs avoid costly mistakes, make wise choices, and plan effectively for a successful business venture. Why risk becoming a statistic? Helping entrepreneurs realize their goals of successful business ownership while working with existing businesses to remain competitive and profitable is what we do. Visit or call us today for more information on how the Invest Grand Bahama Small Business Bureau can help you. Invest Grand Bahama Small Business Bureau, empowering licensees.
What if we told you, only 68 miles from North America, lied an island with communications and technological infrastructure unmatched in the Caribbean? What if we told you that this island has an abundance of skilled, educated professionals with English as a first language? Now, what if we told you that you can operate a call center or BPO facility with no taxes? You may think there's no way, but there is. Grand Bahama Island, where the once impossible is now possible. Shipping hubs around the world are deepening their harbor in preparation for the Panama Canal expansion. We deepened our harbor more than a decade ago. Special economic zones are popping up all over the world, offering tax concessions to potential investors. We've been offering zero taxes for the past 6 decades. Some call it a rich history. We call it the Grand Vision. Grand Bahama Island. Imagine the possibilities.
Who said you can't get great quality products at an affordable price? If you want the best quality food products at the most affordable prices, you must pick up the Jamaica Bahama brand of fine quality products at your favorite food store. Products like Jamaica Bahama Coconut Water, the most healthy and refreshing drink on the market. Jamaica Bahama Fruit Punch, the only fruit punch in the Bahamas made from real fruit. Jamaica Bahama Coconut Milk, green pigeon peas with coconut milk, condensed milk, kidney beans with coconut milk, corned beef, green pigeon peas, mackerel, and corn. Jamaica Bahama's fine line of products is available at all your favorite food stores and convenience stores nationwide. Telephone 351-8282 in Freeport and 341-4091 in Nassau.
I don't wanna win.
Welcome back to Nation Building, and we continue our discussion with the President of the Grand Bahama Port Authority, Mr. Ian Rolle. Mr. Rolle, you are a young man, and you are impressive to most young Bahamians as a leader. You've risen to the presidency of your company, the Port Authority, Grand Bahama Port Authority, and you have a wonderful story, I believe. And so I'd like for you to share a little of your background with us and for those who do not know you.
Well, let me start from the very beginning. My parents. My father is John Roll. He was the controller of customs. My mother, who's now deceased, she was Sandra Fountain. And I have a beautiful sister, Anya James. I have a wonderful wife. She's the wind beneath my wings, Barbara Roll. We have 4 children, 4 kids together, Nia, Ian, Jada, and Dana. And I was born in Grand Bahama, but was raised in New Providence. I went to school at St. John's College, junior school and high school. Spent 2 years at the College of the Bahamas. Then I went off to the University of South Florida in Tampa. And actually, that's where I met my wife.
Okay.
So I'll never forget that school.
You better
So
not.
And from there, I then started to work with a company called Ernst & Young, one of the big 4 accounting firms. I spent 5 years at Ernst & Young. It was a fantastic experience.
So you're an accountant by profession?
By profession, I'm an accountant. And that was a wonderful experience. At that time, Hubert Chipman was one of the senior persons in the company, as well as Phil Galanis. And these persons believe in Bahamians. And they showed it. The type of training that I got was just unbelievable. And the environment for a Bahamian professional was to be desired by, I think, every professional. I know that there was a company that tried to get me to come for an interview, another accounting firm. Because I was so comfortable at Ernst & Young, I didn't even go for the interview. That's how the environment was. And then I moved from Ernst & Young, and I came to Grand Bahama in 1997, working for the Hutchison Group as a finance manager, managing the development of the Strip, managing the funds. And in 1999, the Hutchison Group bought into the Grand Bahama Development Company, 50% interest in it. And I was sent to do the due diligence for the Hutchison Group and got to know the various stakeholders or players in the Port group of companies. They took a liking to me and they felt that I could assist. And the rest is history. I thought that the opportunity presented to work at the Port is a good one in regards to me trying to make a difference to the city and to the Bahamas. And I accepted the position as group financial analyst. And it just went very quickly from one position to the other, from group financial analyst to group controller to CFO and now president.
What was highlighted to you as the outstanding qualities or most outstanding quality that caused the then decision makers in the Port Authority to say, hey, we'd like to have this young man move up the...
I think there was something, a seed planted in me very early. My dad in particular believed in education, and I always wanted to be different. I was a very focused young man. By the age of 20 or 21, I had my CPA already, and I wanted to make a difference from a very young age. I was married by 23, and I'm always trying to better myself, and it continues. I'm not at the end of any journey, although some persons will look at me and say, oh, you know, you're the president of the Grand Bahama Port Authority, and they believe that's the end. For me, it's not the end. It's just a part of a journey that I'm on. And I continuously try to better myself and also to affect the people around me.
Mr. Roll, you seem to be a man of faith. Are you?
Absolutely. That's the sauce.
In fact, you need a lot of faith to be running the Grand Bahama Port
Absolutely.
Authority this time.
Absolutely. You know, I am so proud to say that, you know, I am a soldier for the Most High. And every time I have an opportunity to speak, I would let people know that. I think that's very important to know that men of faith are in leadership positions in this country. And God is the source of everything I do, my marriage, my workplace. He is the source.
Not to press you on that, but just to bring some clarity. When you say you're a man of faith, what do you mean by that? Because a lot of our politicians just casually toss around the fact that they are men and women of faith. But Have you accepted the Lord as your personal Savior? Is that the kind of faith you speak about?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So
I don't talk it, I live it.
many are wondering, have that vision of the port been lost with the death of its founders and previous leaders? I
would say not. Let me explain to you how it all started. Let's start from the original vision and the original agreement dating back to 1955. That agreement between the government of the Bahamas and this private enterprise called the Grand Bahama Port Authority, the intention was for this private group to develop a deep water harbor and a turning basin, and also to create a thriving industrial sector. The vision was to create a thriving industrial sector, also to create medical facilities and schools. And after that mandate was achieved, there was another amendment to this agreement in 1965. And then the government wanted the group of companies to also promote the island, cause more economic activity to happen, and also to build a 200-room hotel. That was done. Then there was another amendment in 1965. There may have been two amendments in 1965. And that amendment basically spoke to the fact that the government wanted the Port Authority to now create more homes. I think it may have been 1,000 homes, build 1,000 homes, build 2 new schools, junior high schools, and again, to promote the city. So the vision has not been lost. In fact, we're taking the vision to another level now. In regards to the original vision concerning the development of the thriving industrial area, not only did we do that, but we continuously are working on expanding that industrial sector. We are also assisting in the growth of the tourism sector on the island. Now, there's one particular area of focus that I want to pay more attention to this year and the years moving forward, and that's the real estate development component. That has not been going too well for us over the last few years because, I mean, my focus in particular has been on other sectors like the industrial sector, etc., and also tourism.
On that note, we have to take a break, and when we come back from the break, we'll talk about some other issues, but I'm sure a lot of people disagree, at least in part, with you, because I think most people share the view that the Grand Bahama Port Authority was excellent for Grand Bahama in the initial stages, but probably over the last 10 years or so, I don't know that the public sentiment is that the port has been doing a great job. So we'll talk to you about that when we get back.
thinking about starting a business or looking to expand and grow an existing business, the Invest Grand Bahama Small Business Bureau can help. We are your complete business resource center, offering a one-stop shop service to aspiring entrepreneurs and existing business owners. Did you know that most startup businesses fail within the first 3 to 5 years as a result of poor planning, insufficient funding, and lack of basic business management skills and training? The Invest Grand Bahama Small Business Bureau offers a wealth of resources, information, and support to help entrepreneurs avoid costly mistakes, make wise choices, and plan effectively for a successful business venture. Why risk becoming a statistic? Helping entrepreneurs realize their goals of successful business ownership while working with existing businesses to remain competitive and profitable is what we do. Visit or call us today for more information on how the Invest Grand Bahama Small Business Bureau can help you. Invest Grand Bahama Small Business Bureau, empowering licensees.
Imagine an island 68 miles from the US East Coast, where you can operate a manufacturing, assembly, or value addition facility with no taxes. Imagine having full access to an international airport capable of handling the largest cargo aircraft in the world. Why not operate within walking distance to one of the most expansive container ports in the region to ship or source goods from anywhere in the world? Some say there's no way. We say, is there another? Grand Bahama Island, where impossibilities become possible.
Hello, I'm Wendell Jones, and every time I sit down and I watch JCN television, I drink the Jamaica Bahama fruit juice. It's so pleasing to the palate.
I've been cooking Bahamian dishes for generations. I now use Jamaica Bahamas product. The rice is very fluffy, very tasty, and good eating. Jamaica Bahama product is simply the best.
As an insurance agent, my life is go, go, go. But whenever I need a refreshing break, it's Jamaica Bahamas Island Mixed Fruit Drink. Good.
Hi, I'm Debbie Bartlett from GEMS 105.9 FM. The effect that Island Junkanoo Juice Medley has on me is exhilarating.
Welcome back to Nation Building, and we continue our discussion with the President of the Grand Bahama Port Authority, Mr. Ian Rolle. Mr. Rolle, we talked in the last segment about whether or not the Grand Bahama Port Authority has lost its vision for Grand Bahama. Most people are of the opinion that while the Grand Bahama Port Authority does a good job in keeping the city of Freeport clean, on the other hand, people struggle, and it is the perception of the public, I believe it's fair to say, that the Port Authority stands in the way of business growth and development in Grand Bahama. How do you speak to the business community and people at large in addressing that issue and that concern?
Well, first of all, I beg to differ in regards to that particular opinion, and I guess that's why I'm here today, to inform the public exactly what the Grand Bahama Port Authority vision is and what we are doing. In regards to where we are right now, persons also stated, over the last 5 years, Ian, you or the Port Authority have not brought any investment here to the island. So
you're asking my questions for me.
Yeah. So let me help you and help the viewers in regards to what has been done over the last 5 years. I have a list of investment dollars greater than $1.6 billion.
Are these things that people can feel and touch?
These are things people can feel and touch. I'll call off a list.
Let
you just tell me stop.
Let me hear
stop. Okay?
I'll stop you, but let me hear them.
Okay. I'm going to start with the lower denominations or investment amounts. We had a tourism-related project called the Harley Davidson, $600,000. We have a local establishment island bedding, $750,000. tourism-related project again, Caribbean Silver, $800,000. Car Quest, an auto accessory, a local person to own this entity as well, $800,000. Another tourism-related entity or project, Fat Tuesdays, $800,000. A tobacco manufacturing company, $1 million.
Now, Mr. Roll, just a second.
Yes.
While you go down your list, though,
Yes.
how are these projects that the port have invested in, or these figures that you are calling off? Can you share exactly what the port has done in terms of that?
In regards to the major rule we have is to create the environment for investment to take place, and also to influence persons to invest. And so we have this list that I'm reading off, we've provided the environment, and we've also reached out to a number of these persons to cause them to invest in the jurisdiction.
So have you given these, has the Port Authority invested these funds in individuals or in promotion, or what specifically was those targeted to?
Well, we have targeted and still targeting certain sectors. And so a number of these businesses fall in line with the sectors that we are targeting. We use a laser beam focus and not a scattered gun approach to marketing and promotion of the island. And as a result of that, these investments have taken place over the last few years.
I'm not questioning that. I know the port is credible, and you,
Yes.
sir, are very credible. I'm not questioning the fact that these investments took place. What I'm
Yes.
trying to pinpoint for the viewers
Yes.
is when you call these figures, 600,000, 800,000, what specifically, how was that money invested?
The money was invested in creating the physical assets, the building, the equipment, etc.
Okay.
Okay? Okay. So let me carry on my list.
Sure.
So people could understand that investment activity has happened, and significant activity has happened over the last 5 years.
But those are certainly not significant by any stretch of the imagination.
they create
Those are small.
jobs. They create jobs.
Okay.
See, the last thing we want to do is create a multi-billion-dollar project, and if it doesn't go well,
Like Bahama, are you referring to?
Well, I'm not calling names. You call the name. But the last thing we want to do in Freeport is to go after one gigantic win, and if that win turns into a loss situation, we are in a big mess of a situation.
Are you throwing a curveball at the PLP?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
I'm just letting the viewers know of our philosophy in regards to our strategy.
For growth.
And the strategy for growth, if we could have 1,000 new businesses, and if these businesses are $100 million or less, I prefer to have the 1,000 businesses, because they will be in different sectors. And if one sector starts to feel a decline, the other sectors will more than likely make up for that. And that's how Freeport has really survived over the last few years, because we have strong industrial sector, the tourism sector that may have fallen off, which is now climbing back up. But we're so diversified that it keeps Freeport afloat. And my thoughts and the philosophy of the Port Authority even today is to continue to diversify our economy and therefore keep the boat afloat. So let me continue with my list, because people need to know. I spoke about the tobacco manufacturing company, $1 million. City Services invested another $1 million in their facility. Freeport Bahamas Adventures. This is a touristic product. Again, invested well over $1 million. In fact, that company was awarded the best tour operator for the Carnival Cruise Line for 2015. Another company here, the Island Outsources Group. This is a call center operation. We, meaning the Grand Bahama Port Authority, we went after this particular sector. We want to build a call center type of operation industry here in Grand Bahama. And we went after them, and they have established a presence here, and now they have at least 100 persons working or employed in their company, and over the next year, the intention is to hire another 50 to 100 persons in this organization. Then we have another tobacco manufacturing company spending well over $1 million. Then Caribbean Bottling spent $1.5 million. Senior Frogs, another touristic operation.
I get the point, Mr. Roy.
$1.5 million.
I get the point. Your philosophy, it seems to be a shift from I guess, the central government's philosophy and the philosophy of the past.
Correct.
Where you look for large investments. So you're going the route of going after more small, medium to medium-sized businesses. While on that note, there is a criticism, and we won't have a lot of time in this segment to address it, but there is a criticism that the Port Authority act as an investor as well as a regulator. In summary, before we go to our break, how do you address that criticism?
Well, first of all, you have to understand the very beginning, how the city was created. In this Hawksbill Creek Agreement, the government wanted this private entity to develop the city. And in order for someone to invest their all, significant resources, certain things were promised in the agreement itself. The individuals who owned the Port Authority at that time were promised these special sovereign type of powers if they created, like the Deepwater Harbor that I spoke about, if they built schools. It was also promised in this document that they would be the regulatory body, they would be the sole company to collect the garbage, etc., in the city. All of these revenue streams are necessary to maintain a city as well. Okay. And so the intention of the government at that time was also to create a one-stop shop, to make it easy for people to invest.
We're going to have to take a break. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
What if we told you, only 68 miles from North America, lied an island with communications and technological infrastructure unmatched in the Caribbean? What if we told you that this island has an abundance of skilled, educated professionals with English as a first language? Now, what if we told you that you can operate a call center or BPO facility with no taxes? You may think there's no way, but there is. Grand Bahama Island, where the once impossible is now possible. Shipping hubs around the world are deepening their harbor in preparation for the Panama Canal expansion. We deepened our harbor more than a decade ago. Special economic zones are popping up all over the world, offering tax concessions to potential investors. We've been offering zero taxes for the past 6 decades. Some call it a rich history. We call it the Grand Vision. Grand Bahama Island. Imagine the possibilities.
Mr. Roll, thanks for coming on Nation Building and sharing the
Welcome.
information you have with us. I'm sure our viewing audience is much more informed than they were before. Obviously, we have not touched on so much, but I'm sure we'll have another opportunity with you. But thanks again. On behalf of my guests, I wish to thank our viewing audience for tuning in this week to Nation Building. And stay tuned for next week's program as we bring you more informative and educational information on building our country. Thank you.